Greenock, Scotland was beautiful. I'd never seen a countryside so beautiful, green, and so picturesque as Greenock. When we were on the Queen Elizabeth, we were fed over the swimming pool. Well, I remember when we got off the Queen Elizabeth, it took a couple of days to unload. And we went into a barracks, and of course the Limeys fed us. The Limeys had a little different way of feeding it. They bought us tea and everything.
Yeah, thank you.
And as soon as that was gone, we had to leave the room. Well, they set it up for us again, and we came back and then had a meal. It was a little strange. And we were just waiting there for a couple of days for the ship to unload. Then we got on a train and went to England. I remember we had all of our backpacks, everything on our back, get off the train at the wharf, head down, way down, a bunch of ships, all LSTs. And we kept walking, and here's a big barracks, a line of guys with full packs and everything, walking down. Oh, they must be going aboard that ship. No, we passed them. Next house, another line. Guys, every house we're leaving to go on ships. And we kept walking. We got to stop somewhere. I can't carry this much longer. Then we walked aboard an LST, dropped our packs. Well, let's see, what are we going to do? Well, we're not going to leave until it's dark. Oh. Where are we going to sleep? We're right on the floor. Floor's full of rivets. Wow. Well, I guess we'll have to sleep on the floor. Hey, you guys, you want to sleep in a bed? $5, you can sleep in a bed. Okay. Hey, I'll pay my $5. We didn't know where any money or anything, but paid $5, got to sleep in a bed. One of the crewmen on each trip would stay in England, so there was always a spare bed, and the guys made $5. There may have been 2 or 3 beds, I don't know, but I paid for one. And that really surprised me, that France still had the 40 and 8s. Well, you know, but it wasn't that far apart from 1918 to 1940. But to me, that was hundreds of years, you know. And I just never expected to see a 40 and 8. I don't know. I think we went through France on a 40 and 8. Well, it wasn't bad. It was in an empty boxcar, you know. No traces of horses or anything in there. When I joined the outfit, it was in Metz, France. First time, I think when we got to Metz, there was a shower call. And of course, in the States, before we left, we got everything new, all OD. You had to write your last initial and your serial number on every piece of clothing. So here's a shower call. First thing, okay, take off all your clothes and throw here. Yeah, but how are we going to get them? Well, they'll be done when you're through. Oh, okay. Strip down everything. Take the shower, come back. Where's my clothes? What size? New clothes. Brand new. And there goes my clothes. All the work that we did, throw it away. When I was in Metz, they would distribute food, you know, and usually a large bottle of grapefruit or something, and then some candy, and of course the cigarettes were, but we're divided up among the group. Just before I got there, Patton talked to the guys. I think I mentioned that to you before. It had just got back from, well, more or less getting beaten. And I think we were there almost 2 weeks, R&R, rest and reserve. And a whole big crowd of people, and he told us, when I say us, I wasn't there, but he told us, when you take the next town, keep it to the last man. Well, that kind of irritated someone in the crowd. What about tanks? Because we never got the tanks. And Patton said, and here's a quote from the guys, we can get all the men that we need, we have a hard time getting tanks. In other words, take it, tanks or not. And that didn't set well, you know, certainly didn't set well on me. I kind of lost my taste for Patton then, but you know, he was a very good commander. But the thing is, he didn't care what happened to you as long as we took the town, you know. So anyway, when we crossed into the first town, I can't think of the name of it now. May have been Pearl. We had to sleep in the town, most of them were all bombed out, no windows or anything like that. And we kept 2 guys outside on guard all night. And all broken windows. And usually there was a stove in each building because the Germans were in there. Later on, you know, we used to use their coal and that they had laid. And then something come out that says, break the piece of coal before you throw it in the stove. Because the Germans had painted coal or glued coal over TNT. So when you throw it in the stove, it would explode shrapnel and kill you. Little things like that I remember. Some guys with one of the outfits had a cow on the 2nd story of a building. I think they walked it up the stairs. And they said a cow can't walk down, so I believe they killed it or butchered it for food, I'm not sure. But someone was going to be surprised to find a cow out there. What really bothered me was, how do I know it's theirs or ours? You know, and when we were in that little rest place for about a week, I kept asking the guys, hey, how do we know it's ours? Oh, don't worry, you'll know. Well, it didn't satisfy me because Camp Maxey, Texas, we had to run up a hill against moving fire. And you had to stay close enough to the shell to be able to get there when it stopped, but not close enough to get hit by their shrapnel. Well, I was in Camp Maxey, Texas for me, and it had to be a wet, muddy day. And I wanted to know, how do we know what's coming? Don't worry. And there was a big shell about the size of a Jeep that was on the middle of the floor. Ground. I never seen a hole that big, you know. Probably a 105, I'm not sure. Anyway, at the last minute we get off the truck. I have no idea where we're going except following the sergeant and the other guys. Well, all of these guys had been seen in combat before. I see a bunch of tanks. Oh man, they're all bombed out. All German tanks. Boy, that's great. Shh, hey, those are our tanks. And then, you know, I got deflated in a hurry and walked through the forest, and that's when I ran into the first time artillery. And anyway, I asked one more time, how do we know if it's coming or going? Charlie says, he was the platoon leader. Watch the guy in front. If he heads down, you head down. If he keeps walking, you keep walking. And that's how I learned. And we didn't walk very far. First shell starts coming over. I'm ready to go down. The guy in front of me kept walking. And after a while, you got used to it. Is it going to be close to us or not? If it's headed our way, you had to hit the dirt. If it was a big one, you just prayed that shrapnel would go over the top of you. In most cases it did. Although a couple times one of our guys got tossed by a shell hit so close, but he didn't get a wound. But that's what we had. Every time we headed out, we used to see shells come in. They had everything zeroed in. When they retreated, they knew exactly where to set their artillery to hit a certain point. And so they're always pretty good. But some shells were, you know, dead duds. They would go on. But I learned how to avoid being hit by a shell. Well, I think I was surprised how the brain operates like a computer. We didn't even have computers then, but yet, as we walked down the line, we know we were going to get shelled. We're walking through enemy territory and inside of the enemy, and we knew that shells were going to come. And so you look ahead and you find a depression that you can drop if they start shelling, or a tree stump or anything. And that's kept in your mind. And as you walk past it, you're looking for another one. Always two ahead. And you know exactly when you hear a shell, if it's coming your way, whether you should turn around and run back to that nearest place or go forward to the nearest one. And you know exactly when to do it. Really surprising. First time I went in combat, got shelled in an open field. And you know, I don't like open field. We're defenseless. Second time we got shelled, we moved into a wooded area. I thought, oh boy, this is great. The only thing about a wooded area, if a shell hits a tree, the shell comes shrapnel comes straight down. And no matter how deep you dig a hole, it isn't going to help you any. So that's another thing that bothered me. And I recall one time we were in the woods and we were getting some shelling, and it stopped and we hear running. Well, we assumed that it was Germans running through the attack. They didn't have the follow the shells that we did. Anyway, we're all ready for them to burst out of the brush, and then we hear them coming. Everyone gets ready. A deer ran into the woods. Everyone started firing at the deer. I don't think anyone even hit it. But the deer bounced out. I don't think it had a hit. It was so dark there. When we were going in, I don't know why we were going into it until we got there. They never said. But we were in a line with our hand on the guy's right shoulder. Couldn't see a thing. And all of a sudden we stopped. An artillery shell broke the line. So the first few guys in line held hands and went like that to find the other piece. And couldn't see your hand in front of your face. I never knew it could be that dark. On guard duty, you had a password every night. You know, halt, who's there? Well, you didn't holler like you did in the States. Halt and stand up. You just very quietly, just loud enough for him to hear you but not see where you were. You hollered halt. And you had to use the second half of the password because Germans would come in, you'd say halt, and they would sneak in and listen. Well, the first guy gives a password, then they'd walk in, halt. They'd give you the password, you let them walk through, not knowing that they were Germans. So that happened quite a few times, I understand. And of course, good English-speaking Germans, so then they'd ask, password a lot of times would be whoever won a certain ball game. Or, yeah, if you weren't sure, we got to ask what the Yankees were doing. If they couldn't tell you, you shot. The first few nights, we'd sleep, when we'd come, we never went to eat. We were never close to the thing. We'd eat K-Rations all the time. I don't remember much about eating in a mess hall. There was always a place to eat. It seemed like we'd always come into it late or too early or something. Yeah, they used to have boxes of 10-1s on the front of the tank. 10 meals for 1 meal for 10 men, or 10 men for 1 meal. Here's a K-ration. And then, well, you get picky. I'd always pick the one with the pork and beans, because you can eat pork and beans when they're frozen, then they taste good. Or Hershey chocolates. I always went for the beans. And I'd sleep at night, we'd sleep in a mummy bag. First time I got caught in shelling, a artillery company moved in above us. We were in a little house, and he was above us. And the guy had some lights because they were trying to set up the artillery. So the shelling started coming in. And of course they had to zero in on them. And some of them were landing pretty close to the house. Our sergeant said, let's go downstairs in the cellar. So everyone pulls out of their sleeping bag, and I can't get out of it. I rolled, and the zipper, instead of being here, was here. I had a heck of a time getting out that bag and wanting to go downstairs away from the shelling here. Last time I slept in one of those bags. And I learned the same thing with an overcoat. Overcoat was wonderful, and it really kept the cold out. But when a shelling comes and you hit the knees when you're running, your knee gets on the coat and you try to get up and your knee stops you from getting up. So I stopped wearing an overcoat. The German tanks scared the hell out of me. In fact, the noise of them, you know, I'd wake up dreaming of the tanks. I'm scared to sleep at night. You know what scared me about those? You'd hear them go off. And to me it was like putting a ton block on a cement slab and dragging it. The noise that it would make, that's what they'd make when they go up. And then what is really scary, quiet. You didn't know where they were until they hit the ground, and then you'd feel a course of air. Wow. I guess they did its job, but they really would scare you. Nothing you could do about it. Like shoe packs, when they were first distributed, we heard of them, never saw them. Somewhere I went back to division for something with someone, but every guy that was walking there had shoe packs. Oh yeah. We had a sergeant that came around to the foxhole, got a pair of shoes for you. Take off your shoes and your socks. He made you put the socks on because he took your socks and you didn't get them back until you get your shoes until you put the socks on. We didn't like them because they were British and they itched. But we wore. We had our rifle scabbard. We had a pound block of TNT strapped to it and with an igniter. So when you're supposed to hit the ground, put this in it. Well, it was in our cap, that's right, on the net. We're up here. That thing could have exploded. We could have lost our eyes, but we didn't know that. But you're supposed to pull a pin, roll over twice, when it went off, it'd cover you with a little dirt and break the ice. I don't remember doing much digging. A couple of times I was in shell holes someone else dug. I told you the story about climbing the hill with 40 pounds, I think it was 40, 60 pounds, whatever it was, a full box of grenades on my back frame. And before I left, the sergeant said, if you get caught in shelling, don't fall straight down. Turn on, fall on your side, otherwise you might break your back. I don't know if I ever remembered when the first shells started coming. Well, I hit the ground and I didn't break my back. But the thing is, you couldn't get up in a hurry. You wait until 3 shells come in. Normally it was 3. And then you start getting up to the paws and pull the pack frame off your back. Or you gotta pull one side off at a time. And then before you could get to the other side, the second shell started coming in, had to hit the ground again. So I never got the back frame off. And I kept walking to shelter or running as fast as I could when I get up. And I made it. And I think for that, we got the combat infantry badge. You couldn't get that until you were in combat. So after that, we got notice that we received a combat infantry badge. There was a second lieutenant, our officer, that spoke German well, and there was a fight between tanks over there, and a bunch of GIs and Germans locked up in the field. He went alongside of a German tank where it couldn't get his guns on, and yelled at those guys and talked them into surrendering so we could pick up our wounded. And I saw the guy. I mean, you know, the fellows pointed him out to me. I thought, wonderful. And there was another brave man, I can't think of his name. He was sent down to catch up with a group that went into this little town because he was born there. He knew German fluently. And as he walked into the town, a platoon that he went to catch up with had gone up into the hills because they caught a firefight or something. So he walked right into the town, right into a German pillbox. He talked 7 or 8 guys in there into surrendering. And he marched them back to the lieutenant. The lieutenant chewed his butt out because he didn't have destroyed the weapons. He said he was lucky to get out with those guys. Yeah. You know, I know I told you the story, but you got to hear it again. We got orders to cross the river, and when they crossed the Saar, we crossed it, and a machine gun hit the boats, I guess, but I never had a shot when we crossed. And the guys went in, stay here, went in to check something. So I go to catch up with him, and Rooster is the redhead. And he had his carbine like this, hanging down, pointing at a German. Come out of there, you son of a bitch, or I'll kill you. And the guy had a machine pistol. Sets it down on the part of the wall. The other guy ran into the door. Not a shot fired. Not one shot. The crowds were all on a steep hill. They're on the top of us looking down. And two of us stayed there. Anyway, we were there waiting there. I hear pop. Someone popped a grenade. Well, I'm going to start digging. Took my trench knife and started working on the cement road, the bricks. I actually dug 2 of them out before I realized it wasn't grenades popping. It was rifle shots coming over the head. There was an underpass right there. In a foxhole, a machine gun shooting at us. Evidently he was trying to get smart. In one side of the underpass, maybe to reflect it over, I have no idea. But we had to stay down deep. We still smoked. Black, put a coat over us so no one could see the light. Smoke and cough like hell because of the place filled up with smoke. But we still smoked. And then we heard some guy coming down the pass. Just before then, the major come by. Oh shit, they can't hit me. So he walks over there with his 8, and I guess one hit it pretty close because he got wounded. Anyway, Charlie sent me up to this underpass. When we crossed the Saar the first time, I told you Charlie went into town, and when he came back, we had to go across to get more ammunition. So we were stripped. I mean, I had a bandolier. No bandolier, just the number of shells in the carbine or my M1. And we headed for the boat. They picked up the landline, called the guy, hey, bring a boat over here. I'm not going to come over there, they're shelling. Well, we had to find a boat. No boats. So, what are we going to do? Well, just then, 3 medics ran down, and they had a boat stowed there. We didn't even know. So, we ran down and got in the boat. Hey, you can't get in this boat. Why not? We got to cross the river. Yeah, but we're medics. They'll shoot at us. Well, we didn't get out of the boat. Charlie was our leader, so we stayed in the boat. So we start rolling the artificial fog and natural fog. You can't see the bank. Anyone got a compass? Hell, you don't need a compass, keep rowing. So we rowed. Turned around downriver, landed on the bank. I remember getting out first and holding onto the boat. So all the guys jumped out. Medic jumped out first and ran. And the other guys got out, and then I stayed a minute to pull the boat up off the water. To me, that was so many dollars, and don't let it float down the river, save it. I grew up being poor. So I pulled the boat. By that time, the guys were way ahead of me because they ran. And I think of that. We head back for the boat. And of course, I don't take credit for it. I just did it, But we go in the boat and someone pulled out a compass and we ran a compass across. And looked, first thing to look for was tank tracks. And Charlie said, oh, those are ours, so we're on the right side. Until we started, they moved back so fast, the Germans couldn't get out. And then white flags on every building. I couldn't believe, as we moved on, as the Germans were retreating, these lines, 3, 4, 5 abreast, for city block long, all marching down. One GI with a rifle walking by. Oh, it was so wonderful to see. And I'm sure we left them all alone. I don't know. Maybe some guys were mad and shot them out. First time I saw civilians, convoy, we were moving ahead and they would stop. They started shelling again, so we had to go into a building. We went in the basement, of course. There were 6 people there. Never said a word. They're all sitting down. And we never even said a word to them. Think back at that. Why didn't we say, here we have our rifles pointed at them. They were just frozen, I guess, so scared. We could have said hi or something and eased it. We never even thought of it. We just looked at them and looked away. And I thought of that after, why didn't we say something to them? Yeah, they were so scared. Afraid we were going to shoot them. I remember that Jeep, one like that, but I think we were in Ludwigshafen then. And that's when some German walked up to me and gave me his P-38 in a case. I brought it home. But I also got another popular one. So I had 2, a P-38. And to me that was the most valuable one because I got it from a German sergeant. I still remember. I brought it home at the last minute, only accept 1. If you got 2 of them, we'll take 1 away. So like a damn fool, I put 1 P-38 in my barracks bag. And the other one was a nice model too. I can't think of the name. Gone. But of course, we waited there to cross the Rhine, and then they pulled us, went up north. That was it for us. Oh wow, we rode that over that railroad in, I think it was in Wuppertal, that high line, yeah. Another time I liked to kill an American on a bicycle at night, at dusk, no one out at night. I think this was Wuppertal. Here a roar, a bike starts. Where is it? Can't see it. Room, room, big loud, no muffler. And here he comes. Halt! I kept going. Take a shot. 3 shots. Dog patch missed him, but I saw the sparks hitting the concrete. And the guy stopped. What the hell are you doing at night? Well, I had to see this girl. Anyway, we just let him go. And there's something else I thought of. You know, when we went out with a German girl or something, actually, you'd go in the house and you'd take your rifle and prop the door shut. And you're always expecting some German to break in the door. Never ever trusted this girl, yet they were, I don't think they made any harm to us. We were, sure, we were just kids. I remember when a little German girl come out and told that threw her his note. Then I had to kind of piece together to figure out what it was. About 10 minutes later, the officers come. And we formed a parade, and he told us that Roosevelt was dead.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin from CBS World News. A press association has just announced that President Roosevelt is dead. The president died of a cerebral hemorrhage. All we know so far is that the president died at Warm Springs in Georgia.
When we went into Wuppertal, they made some German town officials dig up some graves. The Germans were unloading it. Guy, hey, you can't do this. This is against the Geneva Convention. He spoke enough English. Yeah, keep digging. One guy said, "You're going to walk off. I'm not going to do this." Halt. He kept going. Dog passed. Stop him. Boom. He shot in the air. He had stopped. Those are the graves. It was a good idea making the Germans do that, but it only affected those people, because they wouldn't want to pass it on to their heirs and that, you know. And I think Ike was true. He said, take a picture of it because they won't believe it. And I think that's today so many people don't believe it because they weren't there to see it. I didn't see much of it, but I saw the results of it. The people that went through it. Yeah, I liked it, you know. I shot real good with it. And so when we went overseas, when Metz, I could have had a carbine. But I want something that shoots good. Well, I really didn't need it. I wish I'd have kept the carbine a lot lighter. But I guess I felt like a soldier. I don't ever remember shooting anyone. Hitting one. I may have shot at them in the brush as you're running for, but never ever knew that I killed one, which is a blessing for me. Because I think of these guys that were in Korea and all these places that have these thoughts, and I never had any thoughts when I come home. I was just glad that the war ended. And thankful that I never got a wound. Maybe the Lord was with us. You know, I think He was. When I look back at those things that didn't touch me, that should have. You know that. And I keep thinking of the bravery. I'm not sure I had that same bravery, you know. I did what I was told. I think if they would have ran, I would have run with them. But because they didn't, I couldn't. Maybe that's bravery. You know, those things, someone had to be with us to protect us. It's the way I feel about it.